Hello Bookish friends, welcome to my March wrap-up part 2. In this video, I will talk about the 9 works that I finished in the second half of March, and like I did in my previous wrap-ups, I will insert clips that I recorded very soon after I finish those works. Today is the 16th of March, and I finished the book that I was body reading with Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot, which I was also reading for the readathon that she was hosting, Fierce Reads, for a book written by a fierce female author who can be fiercer than Agatha Christie. And I of course also read this book for March Mystery Madness. The Hello by Agatha Christie was the next book in the Hercule Poirot series that I haven't read. In this book, Hercule Poirot is invited to a shooting party in his neighbor's mansion at a weekend. And when he arrives at the party, he sees a murder scene staged for him. That's what he thought at first, actually. A doctor is murdered by a shotgun near the pool. All the people invited to the shooting party are also there, and his wife is holding a revolver by his side. As Hercule Poirot investigates the murder, he finds out about the relationships in the family, as well as the people invited in the party. I quite enjoyed this installment of Hercule Poirot. But I have to say, I think I like the body reading experience with Sandy more than the book. It could be because Hercule Poirot was truly involved in the mystery at the last 40% of the book. The first half of the book was more about character building, which was essential for trying to understand the mystery, but it looks like that it needed more Poirot or a more lively character that would narrate the story in a much better way. But once got Poirot involved in the mystery, the book became much more interesting. To be honest, I was completely wrong in my guesses. Sandy was much more successful in her predictions. But the writing style of Agatha Christie was very good, like all of her books that she wrote in 1930s and 1940s. I really like how Poirot never fails to discover the truth, although he might not like what he found out. That's what makes him a fascinating character to read. So overall, I gave The Hello by Agatha Christie a 7 out of 10. And I really want to thank Sandy for her positive vibes while I was ill. Today is the 18th of March, and I finished the book that I took out from the library, Cimri, the Miser by Moliere. I had previously seen this quite famous play written in 1668 on a stage play. When I found the written text in the library, I wanted to read it because I had quite enjoyed it. In this play, Aragon is a quite wealthy man, but also quite stingy and miser with his money. He has 2 grown children who are both secretly in love, but do not want it to be known by their father. But when their father decides to marry himself and also marry the children of 2 people that they do not love, things take a quite funny turn with the involvement of 2 servants. Although this play was written in 1668, like I said before, it did not feel as outdated as the other plays that I read from that time period. Jokes and the concept of being stingy and a miser is a timeless humor. Of course, love is always timeless. Overall, I quite enjoyed this play and gave Cimri, the Miser by Moliere a 7 out of 10. Today is the 21st of March, and I finished the second book that I was reading for middle grade March. I also read this book for March Mystery Madness, which is this month's book in Nancy Drew mystery series Read Along, hosted by Mitzi. The title of the book was The Secret of the Redgate Farm by Carolyn, Keene, of course. In this book, Nancy and her friends Bess and George meet Joanne Bird on a train ride home. Joanne lives at Redgate Farm with her grandmother, but if they do not raise enough money to pay the mortgage, they will soon lose the farm. Nancy, Bess and George decide to stay at Redgate as paying guests. Soon they learn about a strange group of people who rent a cave on the property. They describe themselves as nature cult called Black Snake Colony. Nancy and her friends decide to investigate this group to help Joanne's grandmother. Like the book that I read in the beginning of the month, I also thought the mystery in this book was quite complex, and it was, I think, quite engaging for me too. I really like how helpful Nancy is. Most probably, I'm beginning to get used to the idea that there are so young people who find themselves in danger without worrying about them as an adult, because that's how a middle grade mystery works, of course. But what I didn't like about this book was the outdated view on Bess's quite plump body weight, and how her weight and eating habits are actually the source of many jokes in the book, which I found quite annoying. Overall, it was quite an engaging book again, and I gave The Secret of Redgate Farm by Carolyn Keene a 7 out of 10. Today is the 23rd of March, and I finished the book that I was buddy reading with Laurie at Books, Ink and Paper. In this book, we follow Wallace, and he's a lawyer, very ambitious and ruthless. One day, he experiences a heart attack and dies. During his funeral, he meets a reaper, May, and she takes her to a tea shop called Charing Crossing, and this tea shop is like a stopping station before the souls of the dead are passed through eternity. Hugo, the owner of the tea shop, along with May, helps them to cross over. Hugo and May say that they will not force him to pass over unless he's ready. There he meets Hugo's grandfather and Hugo's deceased dog until the time he is ready to pass over. Wallace spends time with Hugo, May, Nelson, and Apollo, the dog. And as time passes through, their relationship changes from contempt to friendship to even something more like being a part of the family. I had previously read books with Laurie, but it was such a long time since we read a book together. And it was a great buddy reading experience since we really liked the book very much. I had previously read The House at the Cerulean Sea by this author, and it was one of my favorite books of 2022, as well as one of my favorite middle grade books. I had high hopes for this book, and I was very pleased that I was not disappointed. This book, written for adults, was also very good and powerful, as well as devastatingly emotional, especially towards the end. The writing style of Klune is very professional, in my opinion. He mixes subtle humor with quite overwhelming themes, such as grief in this one and prejudice in the previous book. The turn of the events, especially towards the end, would have been quite cliche and sappy if written by a less capable author. But Klune made both Laurie and me cry a lot while reading the book. So I was emotionally invested in the book, as well as being awe of its very good writing style. Only reason that I took out 1 point and gave it 9 out of 10 was that some of the middle sections could have been a bit shorter. Other than that, I think it was an excellent book. I want to thank Laurie for a great buddy reading experience. Overall, I gave Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune a 9 out of 10. Today is the 24th of March and I finished the book that I was reading for middle grade March and also for Fearing of Missing Out book club hosted by Jack, Gemma and Alice. Bridge to Terabitihia by Katerine Paterson. In this book, we follow Jess, a 10-year-old boy who befriends Leslie, a new girl who came to his school, although she beats him in being the fastest runner in the 5th grade. After Leslie and Jess become fast friends and spend most of their days in the woods behind Leslie's house, and they invent an imaginary enchanted land called Terabitihia, and they decide to become the king and queen of this enchanted country. As their friendship continues to grow, Jess becomes less and less afraid to show his true passion, which is arts and drawing. Since Leslie is a girl who's never afraid to show how different she is from the other girls in the school. I really like this middle grade book. I thought it was written very suitable for middle grade audience. It does not simplify some themes which can be overwhelming even for adults. However, it deals with them like in a matter-of-fact way, like children do. That was the part which was most impressive for me. Other than that, I really liked the pure friendship between these two children, how it helped both of them to become more true to themselves. The characters, including the side characters, with the exception of few, were quite three-dimensional and quite relatable. And I gave the Bridge to Terabitihia by Katerine Paterson an 8 out of 10. Today is the 28th of March and yesterday evening I finished a poetry collection. And today I finished a book that I was listening for a while. The poetry collection that I finished is very special to me. This collection belongs to one of my dearest friends, Leyla Önkan. And her collection is titled Uzaklar. Leyla is a friend that I've known for exactly 30 years. We became friends in the university. She is also an architect like myself. And throughout the years, we have always kept in touch. And especially in the last 7 years, she became one of my best friends. She had mentioned very briefly that she wrote poems. I never knew that she had written so much. Her poems are quite dark and can be called pessimistic, but they are impressive. And when she decided to collect her poems, I was very excited. When I saw the book physically in my hand, it felt very emotional. My favorite poem in the collection was the one that she wrote when she went to work in the disaster area, only 2 days after the earthquake. Even though I went a month later, the way that she described those days affected me a lot. I also had other favorites, but I do not want to rate her collection because I do not think that I would be able to be objective in my rating. Like I said before, I am very pleased that she made her dreams come true. And I'm wishing even more success to her in her future writing life. The book that I finished today was a psychological thriller titled I Know My Name by C.J. Cooke. In this thriller, she has 4 people around her who rescued her from the boat accident. In the parallel timeline, we follow a husband with 2 children, one 5 years old and one just a few weeks old baby girl. Discovers that his wife is missing and he desperately tries to find his wife. As we progress through the book, we learn more about the wife's present and past life, as well as women in the Greek island, gradually remembering the bits and pieces from her life. I very much enjoyed reading this thriller. And even though there exists a plot twist, it's not really hard to guess what it is. Because we are gradually given the clues. However, this was not a thriller that depended on a plot twist, but more on how some subjects and quite dark themes are integrated into this psychological thriller. Actually, up until the last 10%, I thought I would give this book an 8 out of 10. However, the ending and the overall message that the book was trying to give really affected me, and I decided to up my rating 1 point. And I gave I Know My Name by C.J. Cooke a 9 out of 10. Today is the 30th of March, and I finished the book that I borrowed from the library, which was called Palamut Zamanı Aşk by Fikret, Yıldırıcı. In this contemporary romance book, written by a male author, we follow Erdal, a TV repairman who falls in love with his neighbor from afar. After some time passes, Erdal confesses his attraction and then befriends this woman and learns many things about her past. This book was quite an interesting book. I rarely read romance books written by male point of view, and this book was written with the point of Erdal until the last 20% of the book. And I quite like the honesty of the book. And the poems written by Erdal spread throughout the book after significant events was quite interesting to read. I gave Palamut Zamanı Aşk by Fikret Yıldırıcı a 7 out of 10. Today is the 31st of March, and I finished the last book that I was reading for March Mystery Madness, The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I also read this book for Read Your Shelf Challenge, a book with more than 2 points of view. This book had quite a number of points of view. And in this thriller, the wedding of a very famous TV personality who does a nature reality show, William, and a quite successful lifestyle website owner, Julia, is about to happen in a remote Irish island. And starting from 2 days before the wedding until wedding night, the events are told from points of view of the bride, the bridesmaid, the best man, the wedding planner, and the plus one. And the second timeline with quite short entries. We know that somebody from the wedding party has been murdered. The guests in the party are trying to find the body. As the book process and we follow the points of view of those 5 people, we learn more about their past as well as the other people in the guest list. This light thriller book was presented as inspired by And Then There Were None. Although I could see the similarity, events being in an island and a storm strongly affects their mood, and of course the people in the guest list not being as innocent as they seem. However, I think the similarities aren't there, and I'm actually glad that it was different. The characters are quite grey and shady characters, therefore more believable. So it was a very satisfactory read for me in terms of plot, suspense and characters. I gave The Guest List by Lucy Foley an 8 out of 10. So those were the 9 works that I finished in the second half of March. Please comment down below, have you read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video, and what did you think of them? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose whisper. Whisper means fısıldamak in Turkish, and fısıldamak is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.